Hey everybody, Mitch here. We had a really strong, probably 30-mile-an-hour headwind, 35 to 38, 39 degrees Celsius, high 90s. It was very, very warm, pretty brutal. Today was crazy.
This is one of the toughest environments on Earth. This is the most extreme graduate challenge ever conceived. A group of young graduates from INEOS have been challenged with running and cycling over 300 brutal kilometers through this deadly wilderness. Through the sweat, through the blood, through the pain. This is the biggest challenge of their working lives. This is Namibia. In the heart of INEOS's London headquarters, 28 fresh-faced graduates have gathered together for a briefing on the toughest team-building challenge ever conceived.
Has anybody ever been to Namibia? One. Okay. Africa? Okay. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Obviously, our mission is to hike the largest mountain in Namibia, bike through it, and run through it. These are some of the most incredible wildernesses, being the Skeleton Coast, Damaraland, and the Kawaka Veld, over a 6-day period.
The trial, presented 5 months from now, was a 335-kilometre, 6-day ultra-marathon and bike expedition deep in the Namibian desert. With scorching temperatures and a burned, rocky landscape, the aptly named Skeleton Coast is one of the most barren and extreme environments in the world.
Many large companies provide programs for graduates in terms of providing training and experiences and teamwork bonding. INEOS is different in terms of that's not going to be done in the New Forest or in the Lake District. It's going to be in Africa.
Enjoying their last supper before the intense training began, the grads learnt that to reach Namibia, they first had to complete a series of trials. And the first was to run the Barcelona marathon in under 5.5 hours. With many never having run or cycled before, their entire lifestyles would need to change to get fit enough to conquer the challenge.
So we are just on our way for our first morning run.
The fitter they are, the more they're going to enjoy the experience. It shouldn't be a slog by the time they get there, so just keep getting fit. Go, go, go.
It's becoming more real with every day that passes by.
I'm absolutely knackered. I can't wait for my Sunday roast when I get home. Problem is I've still got to cook it.
The graduates are letting themselves into quite a challenge. It's something that they will definitely relish, but I think also they're going to come out of it fulfilled. I don't think anyone or any company in the world has even tried to do something as ambitious as this.
Good temperature, perfect.
For Gabby Isidro, an energy trader from London, this would be one of the biggest challenges of her life. Having not run in years, she would need to start training from the ground up.
So I am incredibly nervous about the whole thing, and there's always going to be an element of, am I actually going to be able to achieve this? Am I going to be ready? I've got 100% determination, and I think it's just that sort of attitude where no matter what, I'm going to give this my best shot and trying to deliver on that. But, am I concerned that I might not make it 100%? At the moment, is that an option for me? Not at all.
Training all across Europe, the graduates were not going to let the rain, wind and snow stop them getting fit.
I'm trying to go to run as much as I can, but it's difficult with the weather condition, especially in Switzerland. It's -5 this last week.
Today I'm starting with a long distance run from the office to my home.
Done some power training, some spinning, some jogging, all in the brand new INEOS Outside Fitness.
Adele Astle, a mechanical engineer based in Runcorn, was also fighting to get fit for the challenge.
I think the toughest thing is, for me, it was a complete lifestyle change. So I've gone from doing zero exercise, literally nothing, to going to running, cycling, spin classes 6 times a week. So it's massive difference, a complete lifestyle change.
INEOS's reach extends beyond Europe, and after a similar briefing in America, graduates from Houston, Texas were preparing to run the Namibia Challenge too. One of the more unlikely contenders, Kevin Herndon, was determined to prove he could get fit enough to complete the challenge.
Hey guys, coming to you live from Clear Lake, Texas. I think today I'm going to do about 4 miles, and that's a good day, good Monday.
Alongside Kevin, and feeling more confident, was corporate lawyer Mitch Clark.
We have a tornado watch right now, along with major hail, so it was real important that we got out and did the run early this morning before all that hits here pretty soon.
As the weeks went by, the hard work was starting to pay off. The grads were getting fitter by the day as they raced to get marathon ready.
And we were struggling to find enough weight, so I'm currently carrying a crate of beer.
Halfway through our 15-mile run, it's cold this morning.
I just slipped on a big piece of ice.
Yeah, Adele bailed, unfortunately.
This is why you need mud guards on your bike. Honestly, I have been cycling for 6 whole minutes, and that is it.
I just finished my last big run before Barcelona, 32 kilometres. Feels really good to have the last big one done. I'm looking forward now to winding down before the big day.
To prove they were ready for the epic challenge ahead of them, they were first to participate in the Barcelona Marathon, running 42 kilometres around the historic city. With less than 24 hours to go until the race, the nerves were beginning to set in.
I'm feeling petrified about tomorrow.
If you asked me a year ago, would you ever run a marathon in your life? I would say, hell no.
I'm feeling a bit nervous about tomorrow. I have a bit the feeling that I'm like a deer staring into headlights.
I've trained as hard as I can, so hopefully I'll cross the finish line and feel all right.
With the day upon them, the graduates took their place at the start line alongside 20,000 other runners.
The main reason why we're doing the Barcelona Marathon is just to make sure that everyone can actually cover the distance and mentally know that they can do a marathon. I think most people haven't done one yet. And I think it's also a good benchmark as to how fit people are and how fit they're going to be to deal with Namibia in May.
To qualify for Namibia, they'll have to complete the marathon in under 5.5 hours. It's time to find out if their hard work was paying off.
I think the preparation level of a marathon like this will definitely be a great benchmark for Namibia. There's going to be a bit of pain towards the end, a bit of slowness, but that makes the achievement.
I can't wait for this to be over, to be honest.
Less than 4 hours after they set off, the first of the INEOS graduates crossed over the finish line. The first test of their fitness and fortitude was over.
I'm ecstatic that I did 3 hours 52, so huge PB.
It was hard. The last 10k just went slower and slower. I was like, why did it go so slowly? But I did it, sub 5 hours. I'm really pleased. A little bit emotional. Probably could tell.
The biggest challenge I faced here was definitely keep going. And sometimes I just wanted to quit. Luckily, I had someone by my side that really supported me and pulled me through all the hard bits.
I'm really excited about Namibia now. It's a total different challenge. It's not just let's run 26 miles in one go and then I can have a rest this afternoon. It's day after day, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to pushing my body and seeing what it can do and just giving it a go.
I think that Namibia is going to be a massive challenge. It's going to be huge, and it just put it in perspective how much of a challenge this is going to be.
I'm terrified after that, but we've got 6 weeks to train, so that'll be easy.
Back to reality, the European graduates split apart to their countries once more to continue their training. Over the other side of the world, however, in Texas, the American INEOS graduates were facing their own challenge.
We're here at the Castell Grind. We've been training for a few months now. We've done a half marathon, a full marathon. This is really kind of our first foray into the cycling world.
We're all in good shape. We're ready to rock and roll.
We really wanted to come out and do something that would help us prepare for the conditions there. So if you can imagine, we're going to be in the desert, the Namibian desert, and there's going to be sand, there's going to be rocks, and that was pretty similar to what we saw out here today at Castell.
It was challenging, especially the first 8 miles, which went through some sandy spots that were definitely pushing me around on my bike, and it was tough not to fall.
I found this race to be challenging more from a mechanical aspect, as y'all saw me come through.
We have one of the best teams that I think we could have picked out of INEOS. That a lot of them have never run a marathon before or done a cycling event, but were eager to jump at the opportunity to get to do something new, to get to try to push their bodies to the limit.
I definitely did not think I would ever do something like this, so I'm surprised with myself in a good way.
Feel about as ready for the trip as I'm going to be.
I feel great, feel strong. We've prepared pretty well. I know it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad, but feel good, ready to go, and can't wait to get over there.
With the final months of training complete, there was one trial left before they could fly to Africa. They were meeting in Majorca to complete a series of challenges trialing their off-road bike skills and giving them a taste of the hot climate that awaited them.
We're here for a 3-day mountain bike and running trip, all off-road, all in the outback. It's the whole team together for the last time before we all meet up again in Namibia. The team's getting closer and closer, and people are way more relaxed, and there's more jokes with everyone, and you know, it's just a much easier situation to be around with everyone, and which is half the reason for doing it, to be honest.
We're a bit nervous. It sounds like it's going to be pretty technical, which we're not used to, so that could be interesting.
The challenge this time was to cycle an exhausting 60 kilometers along the coast and through the mountains, followed by a 10-kilometer run in the evening for 2 days, back to back.
The group we've got here have a huge variety of experience and a huge variety of fitness. Some super fit people and some people that have been working really hard to get fit for the trip. The trip's been really tough for the majority of people, and that was what we wanted to put together. Was a real test for them to understand where they are with their training and what they need to do prior to going to Namibia.
Paul, you're missing the team photo!
On the third day, their stamina would be tested once more as they ran their last full marathon before Namibia.
One of the big goals of this trip is to get people to realise they can do stuff that they never would have thought they could do. So Majorca is just a perfect place to know that you're going to guarantee as close to Namibia as you're going to get before you actually turn up in Africa.
This weekend's been amazing, really enjoyed it. Just a bit surreal. I never expected that the body would be able to do 3 days in a row like this.
When I spoke to the team, they said there's no way they're going to do this, and they did.
After 6 months of training, marathons and bike testing, the day had finally come. As the Americans arrived in Frankfurt, the whole team of both US and European graduates found themselves together for the first time, and the reality of the challenge started to sink in.
Looking forward to meeting all the guys a bit further, especially the Americans, because we haven't seen them yet, and then see how far we can push ourselves and can push our bodies.
Traveling from 6 different countries in 3 different time zones, the graduates boarded their flights to Windhoek and found themselves past the point of no return.
Let's do it. Ready to go.
In their first true taste of adventure, small prop planes were arranged to take the grads away from the last comforts of civilization and out to the skeleton coast.
We have literally done an 11-hour flight. We have then gone on to a really tiny mini propeller plane, which was terrifying, for about an hour and a half.
I've probably been prepping for this for the last 9, 10 months. So it feels really crazy to actually be here now. It's come around really quickly.
For the American team, this journey has taken them over 10,000 miles away from home, and they had barely even begun.
The nerves haven't really kicked in yet. More excited. Everyone's been sat on the plane for so long, so I think everyone's just ready to, really start getting on the bikes and doing some exercise.
Got to the middle of nowhere and then driven for another hour to get where we are now. So yeah, we are in the skeleton coast. It's just unbelievable. I don't even think it's sunk in yet. We've done so much travelling to get to what is the middle of nowhere. It's still got to sink in, I think.
Now, deep in Namibia, the team have one last chance to prepare, fitting the bikes that will carry them through some of the toughest terrain on Earth.
The scale of it hasn't really sunk in at all, to be honest. It kind of just feels like we're going to ride around and then go home. The whole idea of doing 325k is still feels a million miles away.
Is anybody nervous? Yeah, everybody's nervous, that's good. So just quickly so you know, this is Frank, he's my business partner, he's guiding on the ground.
So we just stood with the bikes ready to go, and just want to get on with it, give it a go and just see how it goes. Can't go back now, so let's go and have some fun.
Nervous. I'm pretty nervous. I'm excited, but I'm very nervous. I think it's going to be a trip of a lifetime, and I'm just kind of excited for what's in store.
Cautiously optimistic, with nothing but relentless heat, sand, rock, and some serious kilometers in front of them. Are they really ready for the brutal challenge ahead? Their journey would take them from the African shoreline into the heart of the desert, running a total of 125 kilometers in a staggered series of half and full marathons. Linking these mammoth runs together would be 210 solid kilometers of uncompromising mountain biking, taking them through ancient craters and Martian-esque rock formations to the finish line at the Huab River. On top of this, the trip would be divided by a climb up the monumental Brandberg mountain, rising above the desert floor by 2.5 kilometers. To get to the top would be the equivalent of climbing 7 Empire State Buildings in blistering heat.
really crazy. It feels like we're not here. I immediately thought we were landed on another planet or something. Like it's a real crazy country. It's very beautiful. I've never seen something like this before. I wasn't really thinking about, yeah, am I cycling correct? Is it too hot? Is it? I really was focused on the area, and yeah, for me it went quite easy today.
The temperatures were hot but not scorching, and with a strong tailwind helping them forward, it seemed as if the challenge might turn out to be a breeze.
Biggest worry for me was actually the heat, running in heat, cycling in heat, and just living in the heat. But actually I think we got really lucky today.
There was a bit of shelter with some shade in the clouds, and we had some wind, so I think that helped for a good day today. But I imagine that it's going to get a lot hotter, which is going to make it a lot harder as the days go on.
Today we did 37 kilometres, and it took us about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. And then tomorrow is double that.
It's going great. It's not hot at all, so I'm gonna pay for that tomorrow because I'm sure the wind will stop blowing altogether and it'll be hot as heck. But you know, we'll do what we can do. So we're doing great. 24K in and about to finish out the day.
A seemingly easy day behind them, the graduates found themselves in high spirits, having conquered the first day and readying for their first night under the African stars.
37K is just a little taster. We've had a good strong wind behind us. I think everyone's feeling pretty good, which is nice, but I think tomorrow is going to be quite a different story, running 21 and then 77 Ks riding, and as we've moved away from the coast it gets hotter and hotter. So I think today was a nice introduction. I think the group's pretty fit. I think they've worked really hard and I think everyone's really excited. I think they've put in the time. But I think the heat is one thing that's going to really take its toll later on. I think today we sort of sat in mid-20s Celsius, and it's quite possibly going to double that, which I think will be a different story.
The sun rises on day 2, and the graduates face their first big challenge, a 21-kilometre half marathon, immediately followed by 55 kilometres in the saddle.
Everyone got water with them, eh? Are we ready? Jeez, what a team, eh? 2 minutes to go. Everyone relax, take it easy.
Half marathon, starting at 6 a.m. and then, you know, that in itself was like a decent sort of day for a lot of people, and then straight off the back of that, more cycling.
So when we started this morning, it was still dark. So it was like 15 degrees or something like that. And now we're doing something like 20-25 degrees, but it's still cloudy. So it's really enjoyable to have a run now.
All the training that I've done at home has mainly been on roads, you know, very flat roads, and out here we have some rolling hills and it's all loose sand, so you know, every step you're sliding a little bit, you know, you're working the balance muscles, you know, your glutes and your quads, and so.
I'm definitely the tortoise to the hare, but I'm enjoying it. It's a beautiful landscape out here, and I'm just kind of trucking through slowly but surely, so. You sink pretty good, and it's kind of, it's hell on the ankles, that sand is, but you know, just kind of take it slow, and we're venturing off a little bit into the harder packed rocks and trying to.
21 kilometres, first morning in Namibia. How are we feeling?
It looks like heaven up there.
It does.
It's gonna get hotter. Yeah, it's definitely gonna get hotter. Hopefully we'll be done around that midday heat today and go in the shade and have a cold beverage.
Look at that.
Yes.
Get that ready.
Do it. You need water.
I found out later when I fell, I had like...
after a hot morning run, it was time to get back on the bikes, and the grads soon discovered that the desert was not as forgiving as they first thought.
We generally have the wind from our backs, which is the cold wind from the sea, and unfortunately the Namib desert changed its tune and said, sorry, you're going to have the hot wind from the inland. So it's made cycling incredibly tough, and I'm afraid we're going to have to bunch together in pelotons to try and get through this.
The blazing desert wind was beginning to push back on the fresh-faced graduates, bringing their speed almost to a standstill. Suddenly for them, camp seemed like a very long way away.
So we have a lot of wind, not in the bodily function type, but in the natural surroundings, which, oh my gosh, you can literally hopefully get a feel for what we're battling against on the bikes right now. So it is tough. This bit is hard. It is hard.
The first day was just a 45-kilometer ride. It was an easy introduction with a good wind behind us. So, and we planned it that way. The wind. We were lucky to have the wind behind us, but it does give you a false sense of your level of fitness and what you can achieve.
The interesting stat is that they ran the first 21 faster than they cycled the next 21. That's how slow the going's been.
I've never hated anything in the world more than this wind just now. This wind is terrific. Consider this condition about like as hard as cycling through a hairdryer. It's just incredibly hard, incredibly difficult. The wind just saps any energy out of you, the sand saps the rest, and you're just dehydrated because any sweat's straight off you.
I don't think this is indicative of fitness at this point. I think this is indicative of conditioning and climate. So a lot of the guys from the colder climes are struggling with the intense heat.
Just feeling tired, not like painful anywhere, just really tired.
I'm not looking forward to any food, I'm not looking forward to a sit down, I'm not looking forward to anything else, because at the end of the day you've always got the next day. It's just got to get through it.
As the sun rose higher, Namibia began to claim its first casualties, and Mitch and Adele began to feel the heat.
So what happened to my legs when I was cycling is I got some cramps in my calves, and it kept popping and popping, and so I ended up having to stop, rub them out, get some more electrolytes to try and get a little bit more rehydrated. Well, I feel bad that I'm letting everybody else down and not riding, so whatever I got to do to get back out there and be with them is what I'm going to do. So I'm ready to go.
Nothing really prepares you for this environment, this dryness, this heat, this wind, and for this mountain tomorrow. You just do what you can and then give it a go when you get here.
How about going slow? Going slow, you okay?
Normally I can.
Do you feel okay?
I've been told I'm not allowed to ride my bike for this section because my heart rate's too high. I had a virus before I came, and I was sat in the shade for 20 minutes. My heart rate still didn't go below 120, which isn't ideal. So the medics told me, won't let me ride my bike. I feel a bit guilty, to be honest, because everyone else is powering through, and here's me getting the Namibian Uber by myself.
As the landscape opened out and the wind began to die down, the graduates began to pick up the pace again. Exhaustion was beginning to get the better of them, and there was still a long way to go.
With massive headwinds, really bad conditions. It took us 2.5 hours to do 10k. It's completely through our schedule. We're supposed to be in camp by 3. It's now 3:40, and we've still got 25k to go.
Just doing the maths, we've got 12 out the front, we've got a couple here, we've probably got about 20 guys out on bikes at the moment with Lloyd and Greg. We've got about, I'm guessing probably just over an hour of daylight. We'll probably run last light around 5:30. I reckon they've got an hour and a half, 2 hours to go. There's absolutely no surety that we'll get to camp by bike tonight.
The challenge was suddenly very real. Could they get back to camp before nightfall?
None of this. Oh, no.
You must be so pumped.
I don't know what tomorrow's going to be like for sure. It was getting darker and darker, and more people were dropping off. Even one of the guides was being sick at one point, but we made it.
There was a group of people towards the back end of the field tonight who nearly didn't get into camp on time. They made it literally by a few minutes, just before 6, as it was getting dark.
Just felt, I just couldn't catch my breath. It's the only way I could put it. I was lying on the ground and I was breathing like I was still cycling. I don't know, I've never been like that before. Really. Yeah, not proud of it.
Namibia had shown its true colours, and the team had pushed back. But not all had made it back in one piece.
The thing about Gabby is that she's a machine. I mean, she's unbelievable. She's got this sort of metronomic style. She just ticks over whether she's running or cycling. And she was absolutely into this thing today. She did so well, but really unfortunately, like 5 kilometers from the end, she fell and she hit a rock and fell and gashed her head open. So we don't quite know what the damage is yet. It looked like it's going to need stitches.
So I was definitely picking up speed on some rocks. I don't want to come over my eyes, so I'm just going to do that. And yeah, I don't even remember.
I need to take just a photo for the dog.
Sure.
And
Jesus, look at that.
I know, it is quite impressive.
Wild. What happened?
Honestly, I was just going quite fast downhill, and then I just must have hit a rock wrong, and it was like 4k out, Phil. It's kind of upsetting to me.
We've sent her off to the hospital in Swakopmund to have a doctor look at her. She's in fantastic hands. She's gone in there with the medic. Let's see how she goes. But her spirits were so good today. Even when she came in with her face drenched in blood, she was still smiling, and all she really wanted to know was whether her fingernails had been chipped or not.
So well done to all you guys who actually went in the most extreme conditions. The desert really threw the worst of its days at us in terms of hot easterly wind. Well done to you guys for getting through it, and I'm really proud of what is achieved today. But that's got nothing to do with what we're going to do tomorrow.
Exhausted and in need of rest, the team could settle down and rest up for a few well-deserved hours, as tomorrow they would be facing one of the biggest challenges of the trip.
The main part of the trip I'm really looking forward to is going up the Brandberg and getting to the top, and then the sort of the outside camp, and just being able to see like the nature, the stars, and really be one-to-one with it. I think some people, that's going to be the lowest point for them, but for me I think that's going to be great. Just yourself, nature.
So we came here to attempt the Brandberg mountain. It was one of the highlights of what Namibia is about. Everybody was a little, how can you call it, nervous. There was a bit of trepidation, but they seemed to take on the challenge.
Known to the locals as Fire Mountain, the Brandberg is a vast granite monolith that rises above the desert floor.
It's very, very tough ascent, and it's for 12 hours, so it just keeps going on and on. It's relentless.
Sometimes you have to put your hand and your feet on the floor just to look like a baby, just to be sure you won't fall down.
It's been a tough day, but I'm definitely enjoying it the most of all of them so far, because I feel like it's the one which has involved the most teamwork.
We love teamwork at INEOS.
Particularly on the big rocks, you've got to boost someone up or pull someone in where there are big gaps that you've got to get past, because the packs are really heavy, so it can throw your weight off quite a lot when you're trying to move from one position to another.
To reach the summit, would mean a grueling 21-kilometre hike, climbing up burning boulders and near vertical slopes. The team split into two groups, one led by Phil and one by Greg. The race to the peak was on. After a challenging few hours, Phil's team had broken away, increasing the speed and pushing ahead in an attempt to guarantee a summit before nightfall. This group, making the monumental climb look easy, were rewarded with a view from the top of the world. Greg's team, unfortunately, found themselves in a different circumstance.
We were doing quite well until about 11 o'clock when we got to the lunch spot. And then things started to change a little bit. I took a group a little further up, and we got lost. We got totally lost. I took the wrong path, the cans and the mountain had changed. There was more vegetation.
We're a bit lost. We came a bit of the wrong way, so now we're going back down. Coming up was hard enough. I really want to make it to the summit. I'll be gutted if we don't, but we'll wait and see, because this isn't easy.
The Brandberg doesn't often show mercy, and today was no exception. Having followed the wrong path, they would now need to track back to their lunch spot. Getting lost on the mountain was no laughing matter. There would be no easy rescue in the middle of this wilderness. There was no more time for mistakes.
I think we're going to save a lot more time backtracking. Yeah, no, we went up the cliff, and there we went straight. No, we turned right, and then we went right and then left.
We're stuck. That's what's going on. Going to the top of the mountain, but apparently we took a wrong path. We're being creative, finding new ways. So quite the adventure, actually.
Well, we can't find an official route, so we're going back down to the lunch camp. So we climbed up a whole load of rocks, which was we were off-piste. And so since then, we came back down, and now we're going to go back down to where we had our lunch and try and find the official path and make a call as to whether we're going to go up or call it quits.
With only a few hours of sunlight left, reaching the summit today was now impossible. The team faced a tough choice. Should they race against the dwindling light to reach a camp just below the summit, or simply give up?
That then worked out quite well, because we had the guide that had taken the initial party up coming back, and he found us.
Mini meltdown over. Gonna smash it now.
Filled with a desire to complete the challenge, pure grit and determination took over, and the team raced up the mountain.
With about 2 hours of hard hiking, we just made it to the base camp.
Arriving at camp just before the darkness closed in around them, they were met by Phil and his team. This small victory would allow them to reach the summit the following morning, but for now they could rest.
We bride some meat. I managed to take some meat up there. We had a little Jägermeister, and the spirits were good that we had made it there despite having got lost. And we slept the night on the rocks. next morning, we basically jumped up at first light, and we managed to summit just after sunrise.
The previous day's problems hadn't beaten the team, and in the early hours of the morning, they reached the top of Namibia. After a quick look at the sunrise, they now had to catch up and plunged back down the Brandberg, returning to the burnt desert below.
It's a different mountain when you come down. It really is. The upside is so different from the downside. Because of the steepness of the slope, you feel like you're slipping down the mountain all the time. And when you're climbing the mountain, you feel like you're scrambling all the time, and you can never ever get to a place where you think you can rest. So it's one of those unfortunate situations where for 12 hours up and 12 hours down, you're caught in a hard place.
Despite the relentless descent, one view worth stopping for was the ancient rock paintings preserved in the ancient stone. It was a further bonus for the team, this magical place rewarding those who conquer the mountain.
It's one of those things that throws all the elements at you. So you've got the heat exposure, you're always exposed from sun and from heat. There's a bit of breeze to cool you off every now and again, but then you've got these hard granite rocks, and they are abrasive. They're abrasive on your shoes, they're abrasive on your knees.
With temperatures peaking and the sun already beginning to set, the race through this brutal terrain was heating up.
We eventually stumbled into camp here 4:30, 5 o'clock with some of the last people that had summited. Sore knees, a few tears, but ultimate elation.
The Brandberg was defeated, and with Gabby back, the team were allowed a moment of rest to celebrate their victory.
I think anybody that really wants to be challenged in life would want to take on this kind of thing. And I was so impressed with the guys that came up. Their abilities certainly shone through, and it's unbelievable how you would think that some individuals would make it and some wouldn't. And I couldn't believe this morning when we summited who was actually there with us to have made that incredible journey. We've had an unbelievably tough couple of days going up and down the Brandberg mountain. We've gone through so many things, from emotion to cuts to bruises to sore heads and sore knees, but we are back down and we are ready for the next adventure.
Is it infrared?
Yeah.
Hi. How do I look?
Awful.
Oh, it's not fire. Sorry, it's just the French accent. It just. I'm dreading the marathon tomorrow. Grace is looking forward to it.
I cannot wait to run tomorrow.
Yay!
I did not enjoy up and down those mountains, so bring on some flat ground for some running.
Whereas I'm a mountain goat, apparently. So.
Yeah.
Or a little rabbit. A rabbit.
Oh, just a little 42k with a 37k ride afterwards. Yes, it's a good day out.
It will be tough, it will be hot, but I think we're all well trained, and yeah, we will make it. We will do it as a group.
The climb's taken a bit of a toll. My legs are very, very heavy, and I had to sort of squeeze my feet into my shoes this morning. They feel twice as big as they were yesterday, but no injuries, just a lot of aches and pains.
So we'll have a good maybe 2-3 hours of comfortable heat, and then I think anyone at the back there is going to start roasting a little later.
Ahead of them now was their toughest day yet, a 42-kilometre marathon through the heart of Namibia. With temperatures set to be the hottest so far, and the graduates exhausted from the mountain, this would be the hardest push yet.
In 47 degrees, no shade. I always just put it into context. If you did get lost out here by yourself, you've got a very good chance of dying.
The graduates, however, just got thrown in the deep end, and all of them went the distance. Really, really impressed by the perseverance and the determination. A lot of people in physical distress, you know, really, really worn down. And we had 5 cumulative 12-hour days, 12-hour plus days for many of them, and everybody was back the next morning.
I don't think you're ever going to communicate how hot it was, how hard it was, how much everyone pushed each other. And then when you're quite at the end of your tether, you then have to hop on a bike within half an hour and cycle for the rest of the day until sunset. I mean, there's no way you can kind of explain what we've done to anyone unless you've been here, which is incredible and makes it so worth being here and part of this group.
What the guys were doing, running and cycling in the desert, is quite hard on their bodies because it's under these weather circumstances or environmental conditions, it's quite strong. And they struggle with dehydration, the heat is really bad, so it was tough on them.
I'm feeling pretty rotten right now. Eating and stomach issues, and so that's just wiped me out completely.
Yeah, it's starting to take its toll on the body all these consecutive days. Especially my knees, just so sore. I'm determined not to go in the truck. I need to finish.
Okay, so I think I've made 18k with my dented skull. But sensibly, I think I'm gonna have to call it a day. I'm throbbing a lot and I feel kind of dizzy. So, sensible thing to do, I think. As much as I'm a little bit disappointed I wasn't gonna hit my personal target of 21. So hopefully tomorrow.
At their lowest point, a final surprise awaited the team at their next water stop. INEOS chairman Jim Ratcliffe had flown into Africa to finish the final leg of the challenge alongside his graduates.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be nice to join for a couple of days. I enjoyed it. It was nice to meet the grads. I don't really know them. So you've got a bit of time to chat to them and you know, meet a few of the characters. Right?
Ready to push through the pain in the blistering 47-degree heat, a moment of reflection for the beautiful landscape around them was a final reward among the immense effort. Visiting this uninhabited and mesmerizing landscape is to experience nature at its most wild.
I think the biggest thing whenever I come to any desert, but in desert environment, is this space and how the nothingness becomes something to look at all the time. You think there's nothing, but there's always something. There's the silence, the space. It constantly makes one think of how incredible the environment is, and then you have these big mountains and sometimes white clouds, the moon that comes out. It's a raw beauty that actually never gets old. You can never quite pinpoint the beauty of a desert.
I am going to do this next stage, final bit, so that'll bring me up to about 24k today, which I'll be really, really proud of.
It was clearly a real test of character and a real adventure, something very, very different. And INEOS, you know, in its own way is sort of different. And we need people in an organisation like INEOS which have got a bit of grit and determination, a bit of character. And this is a third year, it's a 3-year graduate programme. So there's a bit of a celebration of the fact that you've been with INEOS for 3 years and you've got through the process. But also, you know, there's a lot to learn out here about your own character, and learn about teamwork. You know, you need to support other people. You know, you learn quite a lot about yourself.
He brought them out here to see what they're made of, but in a lot of ways I think he brought them out here to figure out for themselves what they're made of.
You've seen a big part of INEOS and the INEOS philosophy, which is everyone can do more than you think they could.
They'll never forget the times together, and they're pretty real times. I mean, there's tears and there's blood and there's 12-hour days of digging deep, and you feed off each other, and that becomes, I think, unbreakable. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that as time goes by, this group of graduates will really have a special bond because of this week.
With the marathon complete, the graduates would now need to dig deeper than ever before to find the energy to finish the final 48 hours. Getting back on their bikes for one last epic ride, the team pushed through the wall to carry on through the Namibian desert. As the heat started to melt the days together, the dream of completing this epic challenge focused in their minds.
Incredibly proud. As individuals, as a team, as a company, all three of those facets, they've completely excelled. They definitely had to look within themselves and pull themselves through to get through this task, and I think that's going to stand them in good stead. They certainly won't forget it.
Well, it's debatable. We think 6 kilometres, everybody else seems to think 7. And the Namibian kilometres, so who knows how far we actually have to go.
It's probably been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and it's been pretty great. It's hurt, but it's been great.
It's definitely like a trip of mental ups and highs and lows. You know, you get your lowest when you're feeling defeated, but you also have these peaks where you just feel like you've accomplished something really, really incredible.
They had travelled 335 kilometres through the soul of Namibia, enduring the blazing heat, the razor-sharp rocks and perilous sands. But the team were still together, and with the support of Jim, ready to cross the finish line of their mammoth challenge.
When they got to the end was immense. There was a lot of emotion, lots of happiness, lots of high-fiving. It was interesting to see how the groups formed during the week, you know, friendships that were formed, but massive achievement by everybody, and also a big sense of relief for us to have gotten everybody through in one piece.
Oh, they've had an incredible spirit to get across the finish line. Yeah, absolutely. It's in that spirit that the achievement is great. The ones that are tired and got bandaged knees but keep going. It's in that going stages, it's in that time that the real achievement actually happens.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you've enjoyed it. It was supposed to be fun. But I mean, the idea was that, you know, you had a bit of fun, you learnt a bit about yourselves, you've tested yourselves. I suspect you've probably done that. You know, the INEOS guys, they've got, you know, a bit of strength of character, a bit of stamina, a bit of determination, a bit of grit. And when those decisions are made at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, it's not the INEOS guys who cave in. Gabby, who sort of she'll provide a bit of colour in the video. Every time I see her, I wonder, why is she wearing that head torch? I mean, I can't pick too many people up, but I thought Kevin, I don't know where Kevin is, I think dragging yourself around almost 42 kilometres yesterday was very, very creditable, Kevin. Well done. Well done.
Hey, one more thing. Bloody well done. Okay. Now, Youngsters did so well. Get stuck into some dinner and let's have a great evening.
You know, it's from people like Kevin and his attitude that we can all learn a lot from. I mean, I ran a lot of the first half of the marathon with him, and he was just cheerful and happy to be doing what he's doing, quite amazed, I think, at himself. But there's lots to be learned from that kind of attitude, and I think people take that on in the whole group, and that gets them going.
You can really start from the bottom, and I'm certainly proof of the fact that you can ramp up really quickly, and the minute you stop thinking about what you can't do and actually what you can do, anything is possible.
Every single type of adventure in this trip, you know, we've had someone go to hospital, we've had people get lost up a mountain, we've had people not being able to make the whole days because they've been, you know, close to heat exhaustion, you know, kind of sort of bad stomachs and everything you can imagine in the trip. But despite all of that, it has been hands down a success, and everyone's taken so much away from it.
We didn't do the trip with the intention for people not to make it. The idea was to make it tough, sure. The fact that they're here and they did what they did is phenomenal. When you get to the point where you just can't go anymore, it's really difficult to come back, just to take a little break and convince yourself to come back again and again. So I think that's fantastic.